Okay. Focus, I hope, is good at this angle. I've never filmed from this angle before. Let's hope it's good. Hi everyone, Miranda here. So today I have the thoughts on video for Tether by Anna Jarzab, the second book in the Mini World trilogy. Oh god, as you can see here, this tandem, can't focus at the moment, but it's there. That's the first book in the Mini World trilogy. So, I finally have the second book. Thank you so much to Random House Australia for sending me an ARC copy of Tether to do as a review. I highly appreciate it. I'm just all over the place. I got to read this book really early so that I could film this review, so that I could have it out by the time that this book is out in stock. What a great sequel! Usually the second book in a trilogy has second book syndrome. This did not have second book syndrome. This had like so if you want to know what Tandem is about, if you haven't read this trilogy, I'll leave the review that I did for that down below. Make sure that you go check it out. So if you don't want to be spoiled, click out. Let's talk Tether. I had to know what happened after Tandem. You know, we were left with so many questions. Did Thomas die? Was he alive? Like even with Sasha, you know, what happened when she got back to Earth? So basically this book starts with Thomas and he's in front of the firing squad. He's gonna get shot, legit. I was just like, oh my god, is he actually gonna get shot? Is this actually gonna happen? Then that didn't end up happening. Everything was cool because he got saved by the Kers. I was a bit like shocked about that because I thought, oh, didn't the general just fire him in the way? You know what I mean? But no, that didn't end up happening. The general wanted him back to work for him. Why work for the general in the first place? The general can never make up his mind about anything. He's such a doofus. If I was working for the Kers or whatever I was working for, if I was working for the general, would you really trust this man? I mean, really? Ugh. And I don't get why everyone's just following him orders and why Thomas ends up going back. But anyway, they did save his life, thank God. In this book, we are introduced to Celine, another one of Sasha's analogues from, I think it's Tajay? I didn't know how to exactly pronounce the name of this universe, which I feel really bad for. This whole analog thing just so reminded me of Vampire Diaries. You know how we have Elena and her doppelgangers Catherine, and then she also has Amara.
Elena's doppelganger.
Sasha is Elena, Catherine is Juliana because of that sassy attitude that she has, and you know, Amara is Celine because they come from like the land before time kind of thing. I was a bit confused at first about Celine and where she came from, how they had all these prophecies and people, either the listeners or the learners. It confused me because I thought, was this place like Earth? Is this like way back BC, Egyptian times? Where was this? Because instantly you could tell that this universe was very far away from Earth. People here are very smart because they have their own way to travel through the tandem. And the fact that their people have been traveling through the tandem for like ever, and people already didn't even realize it. I was like, oh god. Basically the prophecy that Celine's trying to follow is that she needs Sasha and Juliana and her to power up her universe again so that it can come back to life because everything there's dying. We don't really find this out too much later. So back on Earth! Sasha is very restless, and I could just imagine, you know, coming back to Earth after being in a parallel universe, you would be. At least she could tell and confide in her grandpa, and that, you know, he understood, and that was the reason why he didn't really like her dad all that time. One of the very first things that we get told is that Grant is like trying to pretend to be Sasha's boyfriend, and Grant's kind of gone off the rails and everything. I hate Grant, he's so annoying, he's just so weird. And I love the fact when Sasha hears that, you know, he's moving away, that'd be like bells to my ears because I'd be like, thank God. That's the only thing that's tying them together. So Grant wasn't the crush that she expected him to be. Sasha also keeps having all these visions and they come often. And Celine is the one giving her these visions this time, not necessarily Juliana. We find out also that Dr. Moss's analogue is Dr. March. And Dr. March is on Earth. So Sasha, you know, once she gets that little star in the mailbox saying Thomas is alive, has to go back to Aurora. It's so weird that the doorway was at Dr. March's place. He's like, oh, you don't know where this doorway will lead. But as soon as she walks through that doorway, she's straight where she has to be, where Thomas is, like right in Aurora. Like there was no suspense there. She's just kind of
popped in and popped out.
I found it weird how Celine could communicate, you know, through Sasha's head, like they had this telepathy thing going on. In this book we found out they could shoot these like electrical currents through their fingers. It was wicked, it was cool, this hidden power within them. I love how Celine ends up, you know, getting Sasha out of this place, comes up with this whole plan to get them out. At the end, what really got me was, why did Adele let them go. The whole time I was whether should I trust Adele or shouldn't I trust Adele. Adele had mixed messages through my head, and it made me think in this book, can you ever really trust anyone? Even Celine at the very end. Juliana is yet again in another cell, as she always is. We find out she's been talking to this random guy through a brick in the wall. That guy at the end, when Juliana uses that power through her fingers and comes out and ends up breaking out of the cell, is Callum. But Callum has been talking to Juliana this whole time. Juliana has started to develop feelings for Callum. So at the very end, they could have just got married, and anyway, at the very beginning of this, none of this had to happen, because at the very end of the day, they started falling for each other. But it's so cool how, you know, she's really kick-ass and she makes her way past the security guards and this and that, and Callum's just like standing there the whole time like, I'm sorry for Juliana there, because she was pretending to be Sasha, someone she's not, and she was thinking, oh gosh, finally the person that I can confide in the very first time, will I have to let him go because will he hate me once he learns the truth? I found really weird at the beginning of this book, Juliana was said to have this fever, she was said to be sick, and then by midway through it, it's like that fever had just disappeared and she never had it. She ends up running away with Callum, and they end up going to Sophia in a tattered city. Back to Thomas and all of them. They end up going to an ex-Kes agent. It's so funny because every single chance that Thomas and Sasha can get, they're always making out. It's so cute when he goes,
"You're my one true north, Sasha."
I was like, that is so Orodian, whatever how you call people from there, lingo. Because I was just like, who'd say you're my one true north? Isn't it you're my one true love? Thomas then finds out through, you know, Agent Durban that the general had Sasha's dad executed as well as the king. This general, people are so backward in this society. What really made me upset was at the very end she was captured and taken away. We weren't told what happened to her. Even at the end of this book I thought, oh, will we find out what happened to her? We didn't even find out what happened to her. She was just taken away. So maybe in the third book something will happen there. I don't know. I just want to find out what happened to her, even though she was in the book for like 5 seconds. At least Sasha was able to know though, in that short time, her dad was this funny guy, and that she actually maybe has family living in Aurora that she doesn't know of. What was the deal with Adele on like page 127? How Sasha's hiding behind a door, Adele comes in and she starts flirting with Thomas, and Thomas is just like, that was really confusing, and at the end she just wanted to suss out, you know, Thomas still has feelings for Sasha. Oh, I just didn't know about Adele. She just pissed me off so much in this book. It's so funny when Callum finds out that Sasha has all these analogues, or Juliana has all these analogues, and he's just like,
This is absurd. I can't believe it.
Celine says something and he's like, just,
Which one are you? The one I kissed on the beach or the one I danced with at the gala?
but I can really see that because Callum has this quirky attitude, so I can just, oh, that'd just be so funny. As soon as they get Juliana, they lose Juliana again.
Someone's getting kidnapped, so someone's running away, someone's getting lost.
The shepherd, the leader of the ones that took her, is Kit, Juliana's brother. Whoa, okay. So he's actually alive. But the thing is that this character didn't last long. He was like shot down later on pretty much. There was no point to this, I started thinking. But what I found really awkward was when she gets there and he wants her to strip. It's like, who'd want to see your sister naked, dude? Yeah, that was just weird. And then he orders her to put her clothes back. To find Juliana, they attend this masquerade thing. And like Tandem, like always at this point in the book, a bomb has to go off and something has to happen. It's like massive escape when they're trying to find Juliana. You know, that's when Kit gets killed. And also Lucas dies. And I felt like sorry for Thomas there, but then I wasn't sorry for Lucas because Lucas just pissed me off the whole time that these books were going on, so I didn't really care about him. The last thing he said to Thomas was exactly what the king said, you know, the 1, 1, 2, 3. I thought, is this something that happens to people when they die in parallel universes or something like that? Do they start muttering this weird code? At the end, he was just telling him the code for the door that ended up guaranteeing them to freedom. So in this final battle, Celine shows some kick-ass self when she's literally firing those electricity balls and everything and makes herself glow. Reminded me of Adrian in Ruby Circle, how you spirit. At the end, you know, Juliana is sorry about everything, and I'm just like, girl, you started this whole thing. Oh, I was like Sasha at that moment. So they want to leave without saying goodbye because they think it's easier that way, but then Thomas and Callum end up coming out of the house and going, wait! Juliana starts making out with Callum. I felt really sorry for Thomas there. He's losing Sasha. He doesn't know where she's potentially going or what's going to happen to her. He does. He does want her to stay. And just as soon as they're about to go, freaking Adele and Rocker, they end up saying, oh, you know, stopping this and that. And they were actually going to shoot them. Oh my god! So Adele was working 2 ways this whole entire time. Well, that's okay because Juliana and Sasha fire up and end up knocking them out. And anyway, what really got me was the very end when she's about to go through this doorway or whatever. And then Thomas stops Celine and looks at her wrist and sees the tattoo. And then just as Sasha's about to walk through the doorway, he says like, stop, you know, wait a minute. And then, but she doesn't end up hearing that, she just goes. What's the deal with Celine's tattoo? What did he recognize in that tattoo? We don't know. Can we really trust Celine? Because Celine kind of grew on me. Her bond with Sasha, they kind of became like twin sisters. I really like Celine in her own way. She was weird, but you know, she got there. I want to find out now what happens in the next book. I need to know, can we really trust Celine? And what's going to happen to Thomas and Callum? Obviously, they're going to have to run off somewhere together. I have a feeling that this whole series may end that something happens once all three analogues use that energy to bring back, you know, Tadui. I reckon what's going to actually happen, that this whole parallel universe travel will stop, it'll be broken, you can't do it anymore. Sasha will end up going back to Earth, but then all these years later Thomas will find a way back to her eventually. Either that will happen as the very, very end of the series, or I have a feeling that it will come to whether Sasha is willing to stay on Aurora, but then the universes want to make things equal, so then maybe, you know, Juliana will go back to Earth being her, but then will she leave Callum? So I reckon it'll come down to that. I have no idea. I'm excited to see how this trilogy will end. I'm Miranda. Thank you so much for watching my mini thoughts on video for Tether by Jarzab. Tell me your thoughts about this book and leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.